back. I am so grateful because if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Hi, friends. Welcome into Lessons from Living. I am your host, Beth Graham. It is the power and purpose of Lessons from Living to motivate change through inspiration, all for God's glory. I have a feeling this conversation with my guest, Isabel Varela, might make a few parents uncomfortable because it tells the story of a young adult who made some very poor decisions. And I think these kinds of decisions are so much more common than we might want to believe. The inspiring part of this story is how Isabel faced her self imposed predicament. No spoilers here. I'm going to let her tell you the events in her own words. Introducing Isabel Varela. Well, welcome, Isabel. I'm so happy to have you here on Lessons from Living.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. When I was reading your story of addiction from your young adult years, I didn't realize that that was a good while ago now. You look very young.
Thank you. Thanks.
But I think that story is so important because I think it's a common thing, especially among young people. It may not be fashion oriented, it might be something else, but you are able to look back on that experience with so much insight from your perspective now. So if you wouldn't mind, would you share with us what happened in your 20s and 30s? And I might just interrupt with some
That
questions.
sounds good. Ooh, where do I begin? Because it's been a wild ride. So I would say my first love came at 16 whenever I started working at a clothing store. It was a mom and pop store down in Louisiana. And once I started working there, I started to connect to clothing even more because I already was an artist, creative at heart. But when I found fabrics and the way I felt with the clothes, and once I put them on and the validation that I was getting, there's like this light bulb moment that went, oh, so if I dress crazy or different, people will love me and accept me. So then I just chased this all the way to 28 years old. And so once I got to my 20s, getting into college, I ended up studying fashion design and went into the world of fashion. And once I graduated, fashion merchandise and fashion design and general business. Once I was in college, again, I only worked in retail because, I'm going to get a discount on all the clothes. And I just continued to charge everything. And the thing that now my parents, they're not here anymore, but something that I would tell them was like, God, I wish you guys did enable me and help me to pay off my first credit card. It was like $1,000. That's my credit limit. They're like, Isabel, don't do this again. And it was all on clothes. But that was it. It was my 20s. I kept spending because every single time I would buy something, I'd feel so much better. I would shop when I was sad, lonely, angry, got in a fight, bored, and it just would fuel me for that temporary instant gratification all the way to 28. And then at 28 is my rock bottom, financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. When I reached $100,000 of debt, and that warning came through a phone call from a family member, and my brother, and he asked me, hey, what's going on? The car insurance just called me. Your car's about to get repossessed, and I hadn't paid my bills in 3 months. My rent, my utilities, nor my car. And I was going from one boyfriend's house to the next, living out of my car, because I was moving consistently, trying to see, oh, if I can stay here for free for this month, if I can pay like super low in Texas, maybe live with this family over here, because I had so much debt. And that right there was my wake-up call to either change my life or keep doing the same things over and over again. And as scary as it was, I decided to change because I couldn't keep doing it. And I ended up finding a debt management program, found a therapist, my mentor that became a mentor for 13 years, and he recently passed too. But and got a full-time job because at that point I actually had a business. It was my first business. At 23 years old, I started a fashion brand. I'm still in fashion and still buying clothes, but I had gotten some investments from a boyfriend, but no one knew my personal life, and I hid it from everyone. And what
Okay.
everyone saw was just, oh, Isabel is in fashion. She's well known. She just got on TV. She just got in a magazine. She just got into her stores. That's what everyone saw. But deep down, I was
Mhm.
in a lot of pain.
You said in your late teens and early 20s you were insecure and that your primary focus was exterior that kind of led to all of this. Looking back, do you see something as being the catalyst for that focus?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of things. I was like, what year should I start? I would say my I went through, I think, I don't know if all of us go through this, so I can't really assume, but I say I went through an ugly duckling stage from like 10 to 12, then puberty hit. And then I started to feel insecure because I didn't look like anyone else in my class. Being in Louisiana, my family being from Central America, I always stood out. And I started to see how clothing made me feel. And what I also noticed is we also learn from our behaviors from our parents as well. I would see how my mom would also dress herself really nicely all the time, make sure her makeup was on all the time. So those are some of the things that I would say influenced. And then the other things with insecurity, by 14, should be done by puberty by then, or like still growing, but like that 12 to 14, I, again, was comparing myself a lot to everyone around me. I didn't look like anyone else, and then even my own family
Mhm.
members. And I got this obsession with wanting to be more curvy and this obsession with breast implants and
Mhm.
like just look completely different than what I did. I wanted blonde hair, even though I have brown hair, like all these things. And then by the age of 22, because I was so insecure, I got breast implants as well. That would feed
Wow.
my my instant gratification. I was constant looking outside of me for self-love everywhere. And even when dating with males, that's the other um I would say what influenced my insecurity as well, is I always felt like I had to be more because I never felt enough.
Mhm.
So let me put more on. Let me put more clothes on. Let me put more makeup on. Let me put boobs on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it stems from different parts, but when I look back, it's a mixture of things, and I hated what I saw in the mirror.
Wow. I'm trying to think when social media came into the picture. Was it around then?
So I was gonna say, I'm the last generation of where I was in the AOL DSL. You've got
Okay.
mail all the way to what's happening now. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
I did get a bit of, I was on AOL. I had my
Mhm.
internet boyfriends on there. And
Mhm.
then social media, probably the page that I was on the most was MySpace and Facebook. And then Instagram came, oh, I guess like 2000. I don't remember when, but when I got on, it was like 2000, a little bit after college, so 2010, when I started to be
Okay.
on there. And that also fueled my insecurity. It was all of that because even being
Mhm.
on AOL, um, I was always seeking, oh, well, these boys on here like me because I didn't have a
Mhm.
boyfriend in real life, but on the internet, I had tons. So I was all searching for that love, validation, enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I know social media gets blamed for a lot, but it really seems like it would fit in in this story in a big way. So that's why I mentioned it. So when you were accumulating this debt, you said it was a cycle of trying to achieve a sense of peace or satisfaction with stuff, not finding it there, then buying more. Your debt starts to rise. You said your self-hate rose with the debt. Was there ever a point in time when you thought this is unsustainable? Or were you just going down that path regardless of the debt?
I would say in the beginning years, I was just kept going. And it's like I kept
Mm.
searching and I kept rationalizing my purchases. It's like, well, I deserve it, even though I just bought the same shirt like a week ago, but it looks a little bit different. Well, I worked hard. I made an A in my class, so I deserve to buy something. Oh, I don't have this. It was always constant rationalization, and every time I would get a compliment, whether it's negative or positive, it would fuel me. It's like I gotta get something else because it was that hint of like instant gratification that would continue to fuel me. And I would say at age 20, there was one person that said, Isabel, I think you have a shopping problem, because he was helping me move. And I had two, those large suitcases that we have to check in the airport. I had four large suitcases with shoes because I was about to have 300 pairs of shoes. And it sucks because I used to have back then, now it's like phones, but I had a real camera and I had a picture of my closet. I was able to color code my shoes and color code my walk-in closet.
Wow.
It was, but and I'll never forget because when he said that, something stung and I reacted very defensively because he was telling the truth. We're not defensive when someone tells us a lie. We're defensive when someone
Right.
tells us the truth we're not ready to look at. And when he said that, I just shoved it in deep inside, put it back in my mind. I said, no, I'm not. I need these shoes.
Hmm. You commented that you experienced a constant wavering about who you were, what you were going to do with your life, that you were indecisive in every aspect of life. Did your success in the fashion industry not quell that? Because it seems like it was something you were good at, it's something you had an affinity for.
Yeah, so my dream was always to be a studio artist, and I loved creating and helping others. There's always that combination too. But fashion, I went into fashion because I loved creating, and that was my escape. And I figured, I'm good at this. And I started working with fabrics. Oh, okay. So it's kind of like my mixed media art. Fabric will be what I can use as my medium. And then I got a lot of different successes. I got into stores. I was dressing celebrities. I was in TV. I was on TV, in magazines. But I remember it was probably like 2 years into my business. I felt something was still missing. And I'll never forget because at that point I realized, okay, I got to do something else. Like, this isn't enough. And then I
Hmm.
remember and actually found some of my old videos talking about how I wanted to do more. I wanted to build a nonprofit, and really help others. And that felt a bit better, but it still wasn't enough. And even whenever I would get all this attention, I would still go back to go shopping. I would still be hiding. So there was still this connection that I was missing to me and myself. And I thought, well, I need to keep going. And that's why it really hurt. It's like I had an ego death. I think I've had like 1,000 ego deaths already. But at 28, when the the debt hit, it wasn't the money that motivated me. What actually motivated me was the fact that if I don't fix this, I won't be able to go with my dream to go to New York City and be this quote unquote famous fashion designer, because that was my whole dream. In high school, I already knew I wanted to have a business, but um, that's what really motivated me. It's like, I gotta stop, I gotta change, or I'll never be this quote unquote famous fashion designer in New York City.
Are you a spiritual person at all?
Very much so.
Okay.
Because I suppressed a lot of my gifts. I would say I'm claircognizant. I get, messages sometimes. I can foresee
Mhm.
things, and especially in dreams as well. I have very lucid dreams that Sometimes I have to decode. Who knows if I decode it correctly? But it kind of helps me for my next step as well. But I had to suppress that for a very long time because I was scared of it. And also being in my family too. My grandmother was super Christian. My family was Catholic, but really didn't practice it. And I was still finding my
Mhm.
way. Um,
Yeah.
but spirituality hit probably at 24. I went to my first yoga class and it's like, oh, man, I love this. And I started
Mhm.
reading more books. I think my first book ever was, oh my God, Many Lives, Many Masters. And
Okay.
that's history from there. And that just continued. And I would say
Mhm.
I dove even more into spirituality in 2019. And that's just been a huge part of my journey, even more. And I just opened myself up more
Mhm.
to it.
Okay. The reason I ask is because for as long as I can remember, I am a Christian, and I have depended upon the Holy Spirit. I see it as the Holy Spirit. You are getting messages from somewhere. I bet it's the Holy Spirit.
I believe it's God.
You
I
know, you
believe in
call it,
God. Yes, I believe in God.
yes, you call it different things. We all do. But I have depended upon his leading, and rested in the assurance that he has my back, that things might be terrible, but he's going to be there. I'm not going to be alone. And I just can't, as I was listening to this story, I was thinking, I just can't imagine going through this without that kind of leading, that kind of assurance. So I wondered where you were with all that. So it came a little later for you. Um, would have helped probably to have it in the very early years, but
Yeah. Yeah, I would say 2019 is okay, I accept it, I understand. But there was always, and I knew, because with God, I'm like, I know you know better because I thought I did, and I sure didn't. But there was different points in my life that would try to push me because I remember even from psychics telling me and it would be quote unquote random people that I would meet and they would say, hey, you should think about doing this. I was like, you don't even know me. It's like, wait, how do they know this?
Mhm.
And my grandmother, um, she would, I believe, also like, because she's also passed. She was one of the first people to pass, and I was super close to her. But someone connected with me randomly again on the streets in Dallas, Texas. This is where I was still living. And they called me by my nickname that my grandmother would call me. And that's when I was like, hold on. What? You don't even know who are you? Are you following me? So it was like
Wow.
everything. God was like the angels. Oh my God, could you please send in more messages? She's not getting it. She's still not getting it.
We just did an episode with Dr. Reggie Anderson. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he is a doctor, and he has experienced a lot of people passing to the next realm. And we talked about all kinds of stories like that where um that people who have passed reach out to us, and it's really interesting. You'd probably enjoy it. And I totally am with you on that story. I've seen it too many times in my own life to, even question it. So, yeah. Well, you said in your late 20s, you in debt, you wanted a better life, you sought the help of a life coach. I thought that was interesting because that is an expensive proposition in and of itself. How did you come to that decision to invest in a coach?
So at that time, I was dating somebody and he was going to him and he invited me. I think we dated for like 2 weeks. And he's like, hey, I'm speaking to this therapist, this life coach. Um, would you be interested in going? And I jumped at that. I was like, yes. He's like, whoa. I was like I know I can be happier, but I don't know. I keep looking for something and it's not. I don't know what to do. So I said yes,
Yeah.
and he paid for 2 sessions, and I kept going because it was the first session. That was it. Like there was the first person I was I call him Dr. D, but he was the first person to ever be honest with me and held me accountable, and
Mm.
that was history. And he actually was willing to work with me as well because he knew my situation, and I got a full-time job. I even started a side business doing alterations. Like, I will find a way. And he said, I know one day you'll be able to repay for that, like what he gave, and I was, and I
Mhm.
have been able to, and now I actually do that for others. So the work that I do with
Yes.
courses, I offer scholarships just like he did for me. It's like, I promise you I will. And then that's something else I also give to other people, because
Oh,
it's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Yeah.
right. That's amazing. So, do you think it was the accountability that helped him succeed where perhaps you couldn't on your own?
Oh yeah, because he went through his own trials and tribulations, and him with accountability and being honest with himself, and just being him, like himself truly. And yeah, it's just the honesty. I had never experienced
Mhm.
that before. And sometimes the honesty, it's, they call it tough love, but it was in
Yes.
such an appropriate way that I myself needed to hear, that I wasn't getting anywhere else. I said I was getting more enabling, but I got this like appropriate response, like, you need to take responsibility. It's like, oh my God. And I'll never forget the first time that I was had to hold my, be responsible. I was late 30 minutes. This is my third session when I went by myself, late 30 minutes. And this is something I was always doing. I was fashionably be late, just like my mother, just like, I'm going to be late and show up to the party. So I showed up, no words. I sat down, and I'm like, oh my God. It's like, hey, I'm sorry. He's like, I bet you do this all the time. It's like, and I am sweating. I've got a stomach ache now, and I'm like, I need to run to get out of here. He's like, do you know what time it is? Oh, and I told him what time it was. It's like, not only have you disrespected me, you're continuing to disrespect yourself. You're doing a disservice because of you not seeing your own potential and what you're capable of, and you keep self-sabotaging. I was like, oh, it hurts so bad, but something inside said, oh my God, someone was actually
This is
honest with
true.
me. It's so
Yes.
true. And that was it.
Wow, he sounds like a good one.
Yes.
So, as far as you did go through that period of wavering about who you were, what you wanted to be, then with him, were you able to kind of process that, narrow it down, zero in on your current focus, or was it another way that led you to
So I
that?
would say definitely, definitely his process helped me a lot. And his process really
Mhm.
helped me to get to know me. And his
Hmm.
goal, which is now what I do with other people, is to help others to become their own coach, because everyone has those tools within them. So it's like he helped me to see me. And with the process and his support and encouragement, it really was helpful. And then I started to become stronger, and I started to do different things that would really resonate with me. It's like, oh, let me try this out. Let me test this out. No, I can do this, because I would keep a running list. And this is something I tell everyone, all my students. I kept a running list of all the accomplishments, achievements, whether it's life, whether it's business. And every time I was super doubtful or feeling incapable, a homework I'd give to myself is to go look at what I've already done. So it actually helped me to see tangible proof. And still to this day, I use it, and it like reignites me, puts me back in momentum, because the practice is continuing to help yourself, translating your emotions, and then taking action and trying. I say trying, but doing, to help yourself, because we always have the tools within ourselves, but that's something that still to this day and that I share with others as well.
Okay. So is this primarily a journaling kind of exercise that you're talking about?
Yeah. I would say the achievements literally like bullet points, super simple.
Okay.
You can keep
Okay.
it in your phone. You can keep it on. I have a big old binder. It's in the other room. A big binder of like all the things. It helps. I kept it over the years since I started in 2000. What is that? 2010, 2011, 12, 11. I can't even remember the years. It's on there. And then the process, he created this process that he said I was able to now share with others. But I've now added different parts of more spirituality, the feminine aspect, and like sound healing. So it's kind of a holistic viewpoint of it.
All right. Well, let's back up just a little bit because I wanted to ask you this question about your fashion sense over the years. I know you said that initially, well, it sounds like what was going on inside was reflected on what was outside. I'm just asking you if this is accurate. You were into extreme styles, and as you became more healthy, your style shifted from wanting attention, wanting to impress, to clothing that you wanted to wear, that was comfortable, that reflected the authentic you. Can you kind of express how that transition happened as you were working on the inside? Your fashion sense changed.
Oh, yes. So in that transition, what I started to notice was the intention behind what I was wearing. So it was always to get some kind of attention, whether it's negative or positive, from women, and then also
Hmm.
from males. And I always knew what to wear, how to wear things to get that attention. And as I kept getting healthier and like appreciating me as me, not because of exterior, but interior, then what I started to see was, oh, I don't need to wear this. Everything I was doing for someone else. And I started to shift and I started to find what does Isabel want to wear? Who is she now? Because I was not the same person. And the other shift that
Hmm.
happened in between there, I had to stop shopping for a year and 8 months because at the end it's like, oh my God, I need new underwear. It's time. But through that time, I also had to rebuild my relationship with clothing. So it's like, because the fashion addiction is just like an addiction to drugs, to alcohol, gambling, because of that craving that you always want. It's just in a different form. And once I took it
Hmm.
away for that time, I had to learn how to be resourceful and I started to see clothes in a new way. And the other thing that helped during that time is being more into sustainability. And I saw a movie called The True Cost to understand what really happens in the industry. And that broke my heart. I had another ego death. I decided, oh my God, I can't be doing the same things that I'm doing, and changed everything again and changed my business into more upcycling and now all the way to teaching and also doing policy work. All of those things combined helped my transition from how I saw fashion from the extremes and trying to please someone else to, oh, I'm going to wear this. And I'm going to wear it over and over again, because something that I would do, and you're going to laugh at this one because I do now. I used to, in college and also through my 20s before my wake up call, I would change outfits 2 to 3 times a day. And I would make sure no one would ever see me in the same outfit ever. And that's how much clothes I had. That's how many shoes I had. And I wanted to be the Latina Sex in the City, Carrie Bradshaw.
Wow. So, talking about the eco-friendly things that you were talking about, the sustainability. At one point, you said you were working on products, eco-friendly products that are less toxic to your skin and the environment. Are you still doing that then? Is that one of your businesses
So I ended up
or no?
taking a sabbatical because the more I got into understanding, it's like I don't want to make any more new products.
Mm.
And instead, I was like, I'd rather teach and educate, because during that time, again, I feel like this was all a divine message. I decluttered my closet during this time, and I was making my clothes, eco-friendly stuff. I was selling. I was in some boutiques and doing trunk shows, and I did New York Fashion Week twice. But I decluttered my closet, and it's like, God, I still have stuff in here, and I started to see how hard it was for me to let go. And I put in that day, I realized, oh my God, it's hard because I'm still trying to let go of an old part of me. It's like there's these outfits that I used to wear, and that's where the documentary come. The idea from the documentary to till this day, that was a divine, that was God. Here, you need to do this. I didn't know how to do any film. I've never gone to film school. I was like, I'm going to figure it out. I got to do this now. And so when I did the documentary, what I found another passion of mine was actually sharing and speaking. And I realized, oh my God, because I love teaching and educating others. It's like, this is what I want to do. This is where I find this feeling of fulfillment, joy, and love of like, oh my God. And it didn't, that started in 2018 when I finally finished paying off my debt. And that's when I decided I don't want to make any more clothes. I want to actually share this story and also share how to transform your pain into purpose. And that's what my journey's been a wild one.
Yes. You'll be happy to know, by the way, my 3 daughters do most of their shopping at Goodwill and
Good.
stores like that, and remake things. And
Oh,
I say
fantastic.
most of the time they look like early homeless, I call them, but but it's just gotten crazy. All of the fast fashion and all of that. I was just reading that so many of the Chinese products involved in that contain carcinogenic chemicals, which I wasn't aware of. Is that what you're talking about as far as healthier things, being safer?
Yeah, so when it comes to clothes, and there's a really good book, it's by Alden Wicker. It's To Die For, but it's DYE for. It's a
Okay.
really good book, and she actually does a study on a case study on clothing that it was airline attendants wear, and then they dive deeper into the clothes because even my experience with working clothes and their toxicity and their chemicals, I was actually affected because I was a master tailor, or am, that's still part of like who I am. But when I was working in New York City, I worked with a lot of luxury brands. And those luxury brands, when I would work with them and make the alterations, I started to have pain in my hands because there's so much bleach. There was so much other chemicals to like dye it, to make sure to hold the wrinkles, formaldehyde. And I had so many health issues during that time as well. And I started having to wear a mask and was really sick. And once I stopped, I realized, oh my God, this too. Oh my God. And what I found was the more natural fabrics, whenever we go back to simple, natural fabrics, it's better for you, but we have to be cautious just as we see what we're eating or what's in our food. We also need to be aware of what's in our clothes. And that was another
Mm,
reason. A long answer saying yes. That was the other reason too.
interesting. Well, I'm excited to know about that book. I'll definitely read that. That's such an interesting story. So let's step back one more time because we've talked about the debt several times, but you haven't really said how did you accomplish that? That is so much money for a young person to be able to pay off. You mentioned several jobs, but how did you do it?
All right, well, here we go. Okay, so this is going to be great. I always love to share this because people are just like, what? It's definitely resilience and grit is part of my character. But when I moved to New York, I still had debt, not some, I still had debt. So living in New York City, we already know it's super expensive. So I actually I had a full-time job in the morning, then had a full-time, I would say almost full-time in the evening. And then that's when I started an alteration business. So now I'm running 3 jobs. And apparently I always had 3 jobs. I don't know what, but I guess that's how I've always been. And then I had to find another way of, I'm making money, but it's not enough for me to be able to see big chunks of this debt fall off. And I looked around and thought, what can I do so find a way for me? Maybe I don't have to pay rent. Maybe I can work for something that maybe I don't have to pay for food. And lo and behold, I started an Airbnb um, in my apartment. And I started from one listing to the entire house. I no longer had roommates. I only was doing Airbnb. And then I turned my kitchen into a functional tiny house so I could rent the entire apartment. And what ended up happening was the money from Airbnb, I no longer had to pay rent, and I could pay for a house cleaner to help and also for like materials, and I still had profit. That was paying off my debt. My tailoring and alterations, I would take about 50% of that, putting into the debt. So I went from paying $25 a month all the way to $2,500 a month. And in that time, I also got a loan with a very small APR because I got with the debt management program, they consolidated 4 credit cards. And then towards the end, I was like, just pay this off. I'm gonna make this work, make it faster during those 7 years. And then once I hit, and I still have it, and I need to put it in like a little sheet, but I kept a little envelope. Every time I would make $2,500, like, oh my God, I'm almost there. I only have 6 more payments. And in 2018, before my birthday, I made the last payment, and it felt weird. I didn't know what to feel. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with what happens now? And then I turned that more into savings, investments. And then I promised myself in 2 years, I'm going to go full-time entrepreneur 2020 so I can build my own and teach other people what not to do.
Wow. What an amazing story.
Thanks.
You are so creative, first of all. And then that just shows when you say grit, yes, you were determined to get that done. Dave Ramsey would be proud.
He would. And I actually, speaking of Dave Ramsey, I did use his zero budgeting. And it was in
Excellent.
2020, before COVID. I found someone to help me learn how to actually really budget because I had done it for myself. But it's like, what if part of the working on myself was a lot of humbling. It's like, you know what? I'm going to ask for help. And then she introduced me to how to do it right, the zero base budget. And then that's been it. That's been super helpful. And she helped me to learn how to pay myself correctly as an entrepreneur, make sure to actually pay myself. And then, yeah, that 2020.
Well, that's amazing, Isabel. I'm proud of you. I mean, that was a long time. Did you say 7 years? And most people would not stick it out 7 years
Well,
either.
listen, there were days it's like, what am I doing? Is this ever? But that's when I would go back to my sheets, my achievement sheets, and then work. I would always process, do introspection, use those tools that I had. Because there's so many times that oh God, that I'm done. Forget it. Forget about it. I don't even want. Like, this is too much. But I kept seeing my progress and how I kept changing internally. Then even physically, like my health everything started to get better because my debt increased. As my debt decreased, my self-love, my self-appreciation, self-belief in myself kept increasing. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. You know what? Let me keep going. God, I'm almost there.
That's amazing. Good for you. So it sounds like all of these things were kind of coming together, and we were talking about narrowing down and processing how to get to a current focus that would feed your soul and help other people. Um, was there a point that just kind of all converged for you?
I would say in the past, now, yes. Like today, yes. But even through, I would say through 2020, because I had my goal to become a full-time entrepreneur, but COVID hit and I was forced to do it much quicker. And I said, but I wanted this certain amount of money in my account. But that, everyone said upstairs, nope, you're ready. So I was like, okay, well, here we go. So during that time, I used all my skills, um, continued with my business, put myself out there, started doing more speaking engagements, started getting paid. I started expanding my brand, my message even more, but also needs to work on clearing my message. Like, how do I say it? How do I share it? And what's the bigger theme of everything? And now with more clarity, it's really helping others to turn their pain into purpose, because every single step of my way, I had to look at my pain, heal it, then turn it into purpose every single time. And so now that is the clear message. But in that transition, I created, so I had those two businesses. I started life coaching because I did get certified with my mentor as a life coach. And then life and mindset coach, because that's a lot of mindset work in there. And then
Right.
I had two solo art exhibitions telling the story through I make giant sculptures. And I was actually using a lot of my clothes that I didn't sell to tell a story. And I upcycled all these pieces to make mixed media art. And it's like, God, this doesn't make sense. I'm a master tailor. I'm an artist. What the heck? I have this documentary. I'm a speaker. Nothing is making sense. And then how do I put it together? It makes sense, but how do I whenever I would introduce myself to someone, it's like, wait, what do you do? Okay, well, I'm one of those hyphenated persons. So hold on, do this, I do this. He's like, pick one. How dare you? I can't pick one. So now when I get to today, it became clear in 2022 at 4:44 a.m. in Los Angeles, because I had started helping other people declutter. I know I've turned everything I do is a business. I got the clear message. It's like, my business will be called Repurpose Your Life. And again, this is another divine message. This is God. This was like a message. And I still have a picture of that notebook. And it's 4:44 a.m. I'm thinking, oh my God, I just want to go to sleep. But I wrote this plan of what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to share. It was kind of clear, but I was like, I'm going to go with it. And then Repurpose Your Life was born. And it's really helping others to build a life and business around their gifts and talents, but repurposing it's like repurposing their own challenges, turning their pain, learning from it. And then our pain could be someone else's survival guide. And that's how Repurpose Your Life was born, helping others through courses. Oh, I have one course, presentations, like speaking engagements, workshops, and really showing people all these different tools that I wish I had, and combine them into health and wellness events, retreats. And then I got a whole list of things I want to accomplish and to offer to the world. But this is where I'm at now. It's much clearer now, but I had to go through all the untangling still to get here.
I love that. I love that. And you're focusing on women. Is there a particular reason that you focus on women?
That was really, when I look around around me, my life, and who I've always helped was women. And then when I look back, oh, let me focus on women entrepreneurs. Let me focus on me, my old self back in the day. And then even with living a more holistic life, because we carry so much load. Everyone does, but I focused on that too, because I saw who I was always helping. But ironically, I do work with males too. And I actually had a male join the course last year, but it was targeted to women. But it's interesting how that happened. But yeah, when I look at who I've always helped, was always women. And it's always been small businesses. They're starting their service-based product business. They're looking for holistic tools. They don't want to be burnt out like I was. I actually sent myself to the hospital twice because I was so burnt out. So I also share that story. It's like, no, you got to take care of yourself first.
Yes. I'm not surprised thinking of all your jobs.
Right? It's too much.
Right. Well, one of your quotes that I love, he said, be curious on repeat if you want to grow through life's challenges because mistakes are inevitable and curiosity fuels learning. I think curiosity is really underrated because I think it could just go a long way toward alleviating even antipathies between people. I don't see how you can be with a human being and not want to know everything about how they tick. But I'd appreciate you just speaking to that topic of curiosity. I know you related it more toward learning from your mistakes. You can take it however you want it, though.
Oh, being curious. So I feel like that has led my life in this wild ride, really, by being curious. Because I listened to, if I wouldn't have been curious to explore fashion even more, if I wasn't curious to um, try my first business, if I wasn't curious enough to meet that person that I started dating that introduced me to my mentor, if
Mhm.
I wasn't curious enough to try and go to New York, because I was super scared and I gave myself like 6 months, and that got me there because I was curious and wanted to learn more about this SCORE. It's where they help. I think it's a nonprofit organization that helps business entrepreneurs. And I was curious enough. I was like, no, let me see, what happens. And talked to one person, and that one person, he was a CEO of Barney's back then. He said, well, what's stopping you? Why aren't you moving to New York? And I said, myself. And I moved. And then when I'm in New York, I was very curious. So I was like, well, what would it be like if I applied to this job, if I was doing more tailoring? So I kind of always followed that path and to be open, because
Mhm.
even those times where I was trying to control everything, and that's still something I still like always battle with myself, it's like the path appears. And then I would also be getting like I would be hearing and seeing the breadcrumbs with my heart, rather than, no, I don't know, that's too. So it's that curiosity that really led me here. And that curiosity led me to listening to that message of like, you need to make a documentary. I could have been like, what? I've never done that. That's crazy, which I did. And I thought, let's see what happens. So that curiosity has continued and still plays to this day. Because I
Mhm.
remember even that curiosity led me to helping people declutter. And it actually helped people to realize that connection with decluttering your mind, which is now it's really the main focus of really the mindset of everything. And I was curious to say, well, what does happen? I've done this for other people. Where does this go? And that it helped me on my journey to really allow the path to be opened, because it helped me to stop being so in control of everything all the time. It's like I gotta let go, because look what
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah. And paths unfold, like you
Yeah.
said. You also talk a lot about embracing who you are with all your quirks and foibles. Why do you think that's so difficult for people?
Oh my God. Well, I'll speak from experience. It's so hard because I know growing up, depending on how your household is, how your parents are, your environment, that's going to really shape you. And once it's time for you to understand you, now you've got society. Now you've got those friends at that certain age, your boyfriend, you're dating, there's movies, there's music. It's like, well, who am I? What am I supposed to do? And then if I
Mhm.
were to ever show myself a little bit and someone would make fun of me, I would then want to hide it. So I spent a lot of time hiding myself through my clothes. So it's like, well, my clothes is going to be all these different masks Um, and I made this like persona of someone I wish I would have been, but what I really wanted was to be me. And, as I continued my own healing, what I saw is now as I'm clearing me, now changing my perspective of myself, my perspective of life, and who I surrounded myself with continued to change. A lot of people disappear. They're no longer there in my life. And started making room for healthier people, people that were embracing themselves more. And the person that inspired me was my mentor. He was so himself. It's like, I want to do that. I want to be that. And I started seeing what I was attracted to, or like seeing like motivational speakers, or like seeing people, artists, creatives. I'm like, they're so them. Like now I see. And then now surrounding myself with healthier people, people would celebrate those different things about me. And so a homework that I always give, and this is a fun one. It's kind of tough sometimes, but I would actually write down all the compliments and comments that people would say about me, because it helped me to see how other people saw me, and helped me tangibly start to understand, oh, because we have for me, I had a skewed perspective of myself. And then having other people that are also working on themselves, they would celebrate those things that are super unique about me. And it helped me as well to have that supportive community. And also looking at myself, I have this other homework, and I've got tons of homework for everyone. Y'all can test it out. It's an aerial perspective, where I would look at old pictures of myself, old videos that I've done, to see who I was before, who I am now. It's like, she's kind of cool. And then you start to really appreciate yourself in a new way. And it helped me to see, oh, shoot, I should be more of me. I feel more aligned and not so awkward and anxious and like, oh, God, I should have said that. Why did I even agree? I didn't even believe that. So it's like this. It's been a process. And now still becoming more of you, it starts to just be natural, like breathing. And then you stop caring so much about what other people think, because they're really worrying about themselves.
So it sounds like a peeling away almost. You start out a certain way, you've layered on all this stuff that isn't you, and then you just start peeling away people who aren't appropriate, who don't help. That's very interesting. Well, Isabel, this podcast is called Lessons from Living. And thinking over it's at 40 years
Yes,
now?
I am 40 years old, 40 years young. June, I actually just had my birthday, June 22nd.
Is there a particular lesson from living that rises to the top for you? It might be something that we've talked about already, or something completely different, but you've had a lot of experience and you probably have something to share with us.
Oh, yes, I gotta go through my Rolodex in my head to pick out one.
Take your time.
Definitely number one is be curious. That has definitely been a massive theme in my entire life. And to be open to exploring, even if it's a bit scary. There's a reason why things pop up. And this is a quote from my mentor. The universe and God always gives us lessons that we are ready and capable of learning from. That's one. And that's actually two mixed into one.
That's all right. It can be more than one.
And then I would say the third one, because I like numbers, I like threes. I would say the third one would be to be really grateful. Because now when I look back, going through those things, I am so grateful. Because if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And even taking that step back, it's not easy to do it when it's happening. When those challenges, it's super hard to be grateful at that time. But when that you do overcome those things, looking back and being grateful for all those lessons you learned, because you realize what you can do better, what not to do, what you deserve, and how to move forward because you've learned something from all those things. So being grateful has been a big part of my life. And yes, I do the gratitude journal or even like in my notes every day, but it really helps to amplify being grateful for yourself and moving forward. Because what's that quote? I don't know who says that, but it's being 1% better every day, being better than you were yesterday.
Right. That's beautiful. Thank you for that. Well, share with my listeners the best ways to get in touch with you, if you
Oh,
would.
yes. So I am on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. It's all at I am Isabel Varela. And then my company is called Repurpose Your Life. And I'm also going to be doing a free mastermind event for anyone that wants to learn more on mindset and time management. And I also unveil it's a decluttering method that really helps not just physical space, but mental space as well. And it really helps you see a whole new perspective on yourself. But that's repurpose your life.
Okay. We all need that. I'm looking around my desk and thinking, I'm going to get on there.
Come on, you're invited. And it's super fun in the community. I like to make the events are super engaging so people can connect afterwards. And then I'm also going to be making an announcement. Let me make the announcement here. A community, so Facebook community where everyone can join and still converse. So then we can connect
Great.
online with events because I do sound healing as well online. That's another modality I share with everyone because everyone can benefit. Or even health and wellness events in New York. So repurpose your life. Or I am Isabel Varela online.
Great. Well, Isabel, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us today. This has been super fun. I know you've inspired a lot of people, so I'm grateful to you for being here.
Oh my God, no, thank you so much. And I really appreciate your time. And I'm so happy to connect here in person.
Yes. I know. It's fun.
Thank you.
I hear this story and think, Isabel, you are capable of doing absolutely anything. What drive and commitment she exhibited. I look forward to watching her journey as she begins a new chapter in her story. Thank you so much, Isabel, for sharing your story. And thank you, friends, for being part of Lessons from Living. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'll leave you today with the words of Jenny Romity. I hope I said that right. Growth and comfort do not coexist. Give that one some thought and go out and make it a great day.